All right, hello, welcome everybody to another episode of the Team Next Level Quad Pod. I'm Coach Greg, joined by Rich, Marilyn, and James. What's up, everybody?
Hello.
Hello.
Awesome, perfect. James,
That's all I could think of on short notice.
yeah, that's okay. James, how you doing? Marathon. What, a week?
Oh
And
yeah,
a half ago?
week and a half ago. Legs are still a little tired.
Yeah, to be expected, right?
But back to working out again. Skip my swim, but the race was fun. Race was a lot of fun. Didn't get the result I wanted, but I had a lot of fun actually just trying to race it for the first time. So
Yeah.
Since we'd done one already, I was like, okay, I know I could do the distance, and I put a lot of training in, and the duration and time and mileage, everything I knew was there. It's just could I hold the pace and how it would respond. So it was really good for the first 17 miles, and then the wheels fell off.
Yeah.
I started cramping in my right calf, and then it just had a cascade effect. Theory is I think I just favored my left ankle. That was the one I sprained, and then I must have been like kind of pushing off my right a little bit harder, so that right calf fatigued first, and then once that went, I couldn't get it to relax because at that point was when there was some climbing in the course, and so I think just that incline, no matter even if I was slowing down, it was just that constant tension on the calf, so it just never let up. So I ended up, I think, walking like 3 miles or something. But I saw the 4-hour pacer go by, and this time I was just like, I'm done. I think I texted you guys I'm like, I'm not gonna try. It's like I'm not gonna kill myself to finish this thing.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of soaked it in, just enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
you look like you had fun.
Yeah, definitely. And then walking those 3 miles, and then I was able to I think just jog the last 2 miles. And when I saw you guys, it was like a little big energy boost the first time I saw you, and then at the end after all that walking, and then finally I saw you guys at the end, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I can run from here on out. So it was good.
The first time you passed us, it was so funny because you had no expression. And
Yeah,
I was
so
like,
inside yourself.
Yeah, you just ran by. I was like, is he mad? Is he okay? Like, and then the second, you were so in the zone.
I was like, all right. I was like, this is the pace. I can hold this. This is good. And I was just kind of not trying to run afraid. And I was like thinking about when I had done workouts with you in the past, and like I'd always be like, oh, I don't know if I can hold this. But I was just thinking, all right, this just this moment, this interval, like just worry about now. And that's what I was trying to do, is just focus on that moment and not worry about later. Yeah, and then I heard my name all of a sudden. I was like, oh, is there another James here? And then, I was like, oh, this is you guys.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, step one of kind of a big year checked off, Marathon.
Kind of a big year.
Yeah.
Really big year.
Really big year.
I'd like to
For
hear
all
what
of
you
us.
think is a big year.
Yeah.
Oh, bigger for you.
Bigger for you. Marathon, 50K in a little bit.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun for you.
Yeah. Different. Type 2 fun.
Type 2 fun.
Yeah.
Maybe type 3.
Yeah.
And then it's triathlon
Then
season.
we got Jersey Man.
Yeah.
Is anyone psyched for Jersey Man?
Yeah,
I am. Yeah. I'm looking forward to race.
Yeah.
I think your microphone needs a little.
It does
There you
that
go.
sometimes.
A little droopy.
It does that.
Jersey Man is definitely going to be wetsuit legal, right? It's cold water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be really cold water.
Someone asked me. I told them yes. So
For
I just want
sure.
to make sure I gave them
Yeah.
the right
100%.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll talk more about that when we get closer to it. All right. So tonight, kind of big news in the world of sport, Olympic sport.
Olympic
I don't
sport.
know.
Olympic sport, not triathlon per
Not
se,
triathlon.
But
Yeah.
in general.
Right. It was 23
23
Mm-hmm.
Olympic Chinese swimmers.
tested positive for, what was the name of it?
It was that
TMZ.
TMZ.
Every time I hear that, I think of
Yeah.
And
A show?
Show,
yeah.
right?
Like, isn't that a
We
tabloid?
have, it,
Yeah.
we have it written it out here. It is called trimetazidine.
Okay. Sounds good.
Trimetazidine.
We could just stick with TMZ.
TMZ.
Yeah.
We'll go with that. And I mean, the timeline of events for this is kind of nuts. It came out on, was it Monday of this week? So like
Yeah.
Monday, that was the 21st or so of April 2024. And these positive tests were from January of 2021. So we're 3 years behind on this stuff being made public, and it wasn't any regulatory agency that let the results out. It was the Daily News, or the New York Times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I
that
didn't
to me
realize
I
that.
didn't
was
realize it was
what
them.
was so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did they find out?
journalism.
I don't
guess.
really know that those things are not public. Like meaning
the
like
article said that it had been
like
but
that
nobody
information
knew.
of their testing and all of that. I think you can go to the organization that does it and like see it.
Isn't there usually like an announcement like then certain people's medals get stripped? Like
Well,
it's like
Right.
that's what I was
so
upset about.
What's supposed to happen is this is the way it's ideally supposed to happen, right? You give a drug test, you take a drug test. They take your sample, they split it into an A and a B container. Those are in these really special, if you've seen Icarus, they talk about the jars, right?
Like one of my favorite movies.
They like seal them up so they can't be tampered with. A sample gets tested, B sample goes on ice. If A sample comes back positive, then you have the right to request your B sample to be tested. It's not until that B sample tests positive that it's supposed to be made public. But what usually happens is as soon as the A sample tests positive, somebody leaks it to the media and then it's out there in the news. So the timeline of events for this, this all had to do with COVID. I think this all centers around the COVID lockdowns and stuff because I guess Chinese, I get them. Okay. So there's WADA, World Anti-Doping Agency or Association, and then every country has its own. China's is called like Chinata, which sounds weird to say it. So I get tripped up on it. They're the ones who do the actual testing and stuff like that. Then the swimmers said it was contamination. They all were in the same hotel, and there's contamination of this TMZ.
Did they say it was on their vitamins that they were taking? It's like
I don't know if they said.
How can it be contaminant? How can that be a contamination?
Well, if you're buying shit from shady labs that are doing this stuff, or you happen to be like, hey, listen, because I think there's people who are like, well, if I can claim contamination, then maybe the
they have to put some
penalty is not as strong.
there.
So it's like, listen, I want to order this. Can we get this on this, like on it, like or with it, or I don't know, because there have been cases where people have tested supplements and they come out contaminated. So it's a weird
in tennis that happens.
Yeah,
a lot.
I feel like it's just an excuse made up.
100%.
Yeah.
99% of the time, maybe more than that. It's an excuse, and these people
They
are
have
just,
to come up with some excuse right away. But like, and I don't know if we're going to talk about it down the line, but like what was, I guess, a little upsetting to me was like 3 years later, nobody cares. They won, and that's it. Like everybody remembers them as the winners. Yeah, and that's
they
it.
didn't say anything about. They didn't lose their medals, like the ones that won or anything.
It's supposed to, though, right?
I think they're supposed to. This
even if they're gonna, like, it's swept
so
under
delayed.
the carpet. Like it's like no, but I don't even know. Like we're gonna make more awareness of this than than it was like when we saw it. Like it wasn't a big deal. Like if you didn't look for it, you wouldn't find this article.
I think because it happens so much, though.
If you're involved in the swimming world, you would have heard about. Like it blew through that big time.
Okay.
Yeah.
But still, 3 years later, nobody is.
Yeah. I mean, 3 years later, you have that time to forget.
And they're the winners.
The people
who won
the people who came in second, like it takes away. They're never going to stand on the top of the podium again at the Olympics. Like so. Kind of crazy. So that led us down this idea of talking about performance enhancing drugs in triathlon, endurance sports, kind of in general. Again. But I mean, we've touched on it, but we've never really like dove into it. So this was, I was kind of like, when you have that many athletes.
Wow, that was
an aggressive can opener.
It's the anger from
on purpose.
He's so pissed off.
So pissed.
When you have that many, it's hard to not think that this is state sponsored or like the program is the one that's behind this.
Well, that's like the same.
Well, why would they all test for the same one?
Sun
Yang.
Like he was like one of the top distance swimmers, elite, and he used the same thing. So it was just it's part of the program. Yeah.
And he was from a past.
He passed. I guess during they didn't find it till after, because I think now they're whatever drugs get made, they're always ahead of the testing. And then now, like when they have that, correct me if I'm wrong, I think because they have the sample, the B sample, if there's like they can go back and test for stuff. No,
because then you don't have another sample to confirm.
But there's some reason why they would go back. There's something.
They'll go back and do retroactive testing, but it's usually anonymous and non-penal, just to see like, were they using it?
Yeah.
And they'll do it to test their methodologies to like see, is this stuff in the sample? Were these athletes using it? But it can't be used unless, which there wouldn't ever be two samples left.
But what I've heard is like these, like all these PEDs that are basically designer drugs. So all they have to do is like change something in the chemical structure. Because I guess the tests are checking for the presence of something specific, and it has to be known. Yeah. And if it's not known, they can't detect it. So they're always able to just slightly modify it. So it's not.
Yeah. The cheats are always ahead of the testers.
I was listening to the president of WADA or something, and he was saying like, we do what we can, but it's a hard battle basically to catch them, because they have to themselves have to jump through hoops just to catch whatever is that they can test at that moment, and then the athletes are so far ahead. Yeah.
And I mean, that there's a test for this thing. I think this one really came down to during COVID lockdowns, people weren't being tested, and so there was such a stronger pull to be like, well, if nobody's going to test me, why not?
Yep.
And I mean, that's a tough, I guess.
Is it?
What?
It's a tough decision.
No, I get not a tough decision. I think it's an easy decision for a person who's on the sharp end of their sport to be like,
exactly.
If I'm not going to get tested, then why not cheat?
And I think I heard James's point before that it's a team thing. Like,
I think at this point,
right? You know, you're not the only one. Like sitting there going, well, 5 teammates are gonna do it. Like, I'm not gonna be the one who stands up and says,
"Yeah, not me.
Kick me off the team," or whatever.
Especially, I mean,
and they're gonna be,
especially in like an authoritarian type of atmosphere.
Any team.
I guess it could be that they might not even know they ingested it either. Like they could just be
100%
given
like,
stuff and not know.
There's stories back in the day of cycling where like cycling is this. It's been steeped in drugs for decades, right? And there's these stories about these young 20-year-old kids who come over and become pros, and they're soigneurs, which are just like their caretakers. Like they do the massages, they fill out their bottles, they do the feed zones, they take care of their laundry. Like they're these. That's literally what they do is they take care of the riders.
We need some of those.
Soigneur. And like they're just like, I'm laying on the massage table and I get jabbed in the ass with something, and they're like, oh no, don't worry, it's just vitamins. Yeah. And there's no like, oh, here's what you're getting. It's just and everybody's taking vitamins, air quotes.
B12.
Right, B12 shots and stuff like that. And no, it's like it's maybe a little bit of B12, but with some growth hormone and some EPO and stuff like that in it. And these kids didn't know they were getting that. I don't know if you guys remember, where were the last Winter Olympics? Were they in Beijing?
Yeah.
Right. So you had that Russian figure skater who was like 15.
Yeah, she took this
TMC. Same type of thing. And it's like, at 15, is she making her decision? Like, no, like that's where I mean, you're a grown adult and you're making these decisions. They have ramifications. You take the penalty that comes with it. But like, you're 15. Somebody else is taking care of all that for you. And that's the same thing when you have these 23 swimmers. Like, who knows what their level of knowledge was about what they were being given, and
I get it. Doesn't mean that they should be winning and getting gold medals. Strip them.
They should be. I thought they do strip them.
I think they do. Like they had to give after that case with the Russian figure skater was handled. She got to skate in the Olympics. She won a bunch of medals, and they had to like reallocate. I think it was 9 medals because of once her case was finally settled. It's like that doesn't make it okay. Like you're right, in the record books when you go up look Wikipedia and stuff, you're going to see that she didn't win, but the person who was second on the podium never got their time on the top step when they should have. So like, great, strip their medals. That doesn't fix everything.
Nope.
The 4th place person who
never even
got on the podium at all.
Yeah. So there's not.
But that begs the question, and I completely agree with all of you. But that begs the question: is top 10 are they all?
I don't know,
because it could be just like it's not about who's taking it or not. Who's better at evading the system?
Right.
Yeah.
Who has the best program?
And there was a good. I don't know if you guys listen to Pro Tri News podcast.
I will now.
You should. They really stay up on like current events with the triathlon world.
Write that down.
They did an episode I don't know. I don't remember them talking about these Chinese athletes, but they posted a list. And so the way that testing works is WADA is the world organization that sets the rules. But then every organization creates what's called an RTP, or a registered testing pool. Like USA Triathlon has a registered testing pool. They have a set amount of funds, right? They have a budget, and they have to decide, who am I going to actually test? And every organization that is involved in an Olympic sport is supposed to have this, right? So there's World Triathlon has it, USA Triathlon has it, British Triathlon has it, USA Swimming has, like, they've all got these testing pools. Out of the people who are in the T100, like half of them are not in a testing pool.
Really?
So now they can get tested at a race. They go to a race, they have to, but you're a fucking idiot if you test positive at a race.
Yeah.
Right? Like you.
Yeah, like you should be. Like they used to say getting busted, like getting drug tested was like an IQ test.
Yeah.
Because basically, if you got caught, whoever was doing your protocol is an idiot.
So if you're in the testing pool, then you have to be part of the whereabouts system. And that means you have to give your testing agency a 1 hour window every day of the year of where you can be found.
1 hour window every day.
One day of the year?
No.
Oh, yeah. What
every single day.
Oh.
Every single day.
An hour.
An hour. Right.
And if they show up and you're not there to be tested, that counts as a missed test. 3 missed tests is a positive. If you're not in a testing pool, that can't happen.
That's true.
You're not in a whereabouts program. They cannot show up at your house
So
and
you're
demand
alerted.
a test.
So you can be
You can either
taking
be in it or
anything.
not in it.
Right.
Yeah, and nobody's gonna ever know.
Right. And that's what happened kind of with you guys remember Colin Chartier,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So he wins Chartier, yeah. He wins Ironman Mont Tremblant. He wins the PTO US Open. He isn't in a registered testing pool for that. He was tested at the events when he wins, right? But he wasn't tested outside of events.
Before.
And then now Ironman is one of the only, maybe the only organization that's not a a national governing body that has their own registered testing pool. So Ironman does their own thing and they pay for it. And they, as he kind of wins Mont Tremblant and he wins PTO, Ironman's like, oh, we should put this guy on our testing pool. And then he tests positive, And it's like, oh, okay.
What did he get? What did he test positive for? Do you
EPO.
remember? EPO. Oh.
Yeah. So it's not just, it's a matter of money, right? It's like, how much is there to spend on testing? And are you testing them at the right time and all that stuff?
But it sounds like it's a system that's easy to work, right?
Yeah. I mean, from my limited knowledge of drugs and sport.
It seems pretty in depth.
Yeah. Greg's like, I'm going to lean on you guys to talk about this. And Greg's like,
We talked
all
about
the
it.
acronyms.
We talked about it last time though when
We
that
did.
guy was caught. And
Yeah.
timing is huge. So if they
Big
time
time.
when they take it,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter if they
Yeah.
come to your house every day.
some
if
things
you time
go
it
out
right.
real quick,
Yeah.
within hours.
The
Mhm.
bottom line is you just got to create a legal division and a non-legal division.
So there
like
is something
weightlifting.
we talked about. I think on one of our rides. It's I think Peter Thiel is his
Attia?
name. No. There's these billionaires that are funding this league. I forget what it's called, but it's basically all drugs are legal,
Yeah.
and they're
What?
giving
And
these
it's for what sport?
all Olympic
Well,
sports.
They're trying.
Oh,
they
really?
they put a hypothesis out there about like, let's see the limits of human performance
Yeah.
on drugs.
So like they gave, I think they like there's
What is
there's
the
a U.S.
point of that?
They
And
wanna
say-
see-
and they're like, we'll give the winner something like $1 million.
tons of money. So I forget like if it was one swim event, like a record hasn't been broken, and
Yeah.
a ex-US Olympian is going to go for it. He's like, yeah, I'm going to like basically take every performance enhancing drug and try to beat, because he'll get like $1 million if he breaks the record.
Wow.
So it's like every Olympic track sport is
Yeah.
up for grabs, and they're funding this thing. And I would want to watch that. Like that's interesting to me. It's like it's either got to be everyone can take it or no one can take it, and probably easier to just do everyone can take it.
So everyone competing is going to be on something, and it's to see
There's
who
no
can break.
testing, yeah,
Hmm.
and you get a huge amount of think about Olympians don't get money for winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These guys are going to get money if they break world records.
their money's not going to save them when their like kidney shuts down.
Well, I think that's if you do it right. That's the biggest thing.
It's not gonna get them anything beyond that money. Like there's no fame that's gonna. I don't think there's gonna be fame that comes with that.
No one's going to sponsor them.
Yeah, because it's still illegal.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. All right. So James, you've got a couple of notes here. I feel like I've
got a book.
I've gone off the rails.
I mean, I think we were
Just
just
a
basically
few
trying to
notes.
figure out, like what would compel someone to do it. What are the pros? What are the cons? And then just more for endurance, like what would actually be beneficial to take? Because if you just took whatever generic like steroids that bodybuilders take, I don't know if that's going to help endurance athletes. So what are these endurance athletes take? Because when I saw TMZ, I'd never heard of TMZ until that article.
Right.
So,
me neither.
yeah. So let's start with.
What's
what
the best
compels
thing to take for an endurance athlete?
I'm gonna just go that way then.
Compel?
What are the best things? I think the thing that most people know or have heard of is EPO.
Yeah.
And what does that do?
It makes you faster.
How does it do that?
So it increases your red blood cell count.
Oxygen in
And
the blood.
basically, the more oxygen you have in your blood, then higher your potential, I guess, VO2 max and all that good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we all make EPO. It's a naturally occurring hormone,
Yep.
erythropoietin, made in the kidneys somewhere, one part of your kidneys, maybe the adrenals.
He knows nothing.
And yeah, so a company came up with a version of it in like the late 80s or early 80s for cancer patients who were anemic and were not making enough red blood cells. So it makes more, brings your hematocrit up, and transport more oxygen, which is where a big choke point is for delivery from. Like your lungs aren't usually the choke point. You can usually get enough oxygen to the lungs. It's getting it from the lungs into the cells. So,
And a small increase can pay huge dividends, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot.
no, little dab will
But
do
it's not. But it's not like you can. Is it a one-time thing? Like you can't.
No.
My race is
No.
tomorrow. Psh, I'm good now.
No, not really.
You have to like get your body trained.
the benefit is
to use
Yeah,
EPO.
I mean the benefit is like you get more red blood cells. You can train harder.
And you recover better.
Yeah, because you're bringing
do
more
it-
oxygen to
yeah.
the cells. Like it's.
Like so in long endurance events over many days, like a tour, then you do it during the tour so that you can recover better and you can keep going on 100 miles.
These guys are taking it during the race too? Like if they're doing a Tour de France?
I mean,
thought it was just before.
Nowadays, I don't know.
It
They
used
used
to be.
to.
They might be
Yeah.
doing blood transfusions instead.
Right now, they use blood transfusions instead because they're not as easy to check. But yeah, they were like when Lance was winning, in the early 2000s, he was taking EPO during the race. Yeah, for at least the first couple ones. And then they came out with the test for EPO and they started doing blood transfusions.
So here's an interesting statistic
Statistic.
for EPO's benefit. So in a 3,000 meter running time, on average, it showed distance runners has shown that 4 weeks of every other day injections improve their 3,000 meter running time by an average of 6%. And when you're talking about elite athletes, 6% is
6% is
huge.
a lot because the difference in winning and losing might be 0.1%.
Yep. So there's definitely efficacy. I don't know how much this stuff costs, but I would just say there's definitely bang for your buck. I don't know if this is an episode on
You know how
warning
much it
you or
costs.
like
Or like how
Or
it's-
telling
how
you
you
to go
want to
ahead
do
and do
this.
it.
But what I thought was interesting though was that because we were just talking about like just taking steroids like testosterone it does not really benefit.
Well, I think it goes to what Rich is talking about. It depends on what your event is. Like a Grand Tour cyclist or like a long multi-day endurance event, that testosterone's going to help. Testosterone and growth hormone are going to help with recovery.
Yeah.
So that's where like, so it's like the worst story period. But like Lance wins 7 Tour de France's in a row, doped to the gills, doesn't ever test positive. And then the next year, the guy who wins is an American who rode for Lance and tests positive for testosterone after winning.
Yeah.
But
when we look at like an endurance athlete's body, they're not doing it for to gain a bunch of muscle mass. They're doing it more for the recovery. But then
But over those endurance events, you need muscle mass.
Right.
Right. To some extent, like the idea is the same, right? those are all anabolic steroids. Anabolic just means to build. So whether you're building muscle for hypertrophy or you're just trying to repair muscle damage, it's kind of the same mechanisms. So yeah, you might not be taking the same amounts. You might not be doing it in the same kind of way as a bodybuilder would be. But some of those things are going to give you similar benefits for the recovery aspect of things. Like if you can do, like, just imagine if you could do 3 hard workouts a week versus 2 hard workouts a week.
Right. For endurance athletes, this is a big deal.
Right. Over the course of a couple of years, that's you're putting, an extra year's worth of workouts in on your competitors who are clean.
What I thought was just interesting, though, the point I was trying to make was that if you stack EPO with testosterone, your levels of EPO boost even more. Like it said like something like 58% increase in EPO serum levels if taken with testosterone. So there's just like this synergistic effect of taking them together. So even if you weren't using the testosterone for muscle building or recovery, it's just going to enhance the EPO.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
just in case people wanted to know.
Well,
should we title this show "How to Do Drugs in Triathlon"?
And let me give them even more insight. Right, this stuff is easy to get.
Is it?
That I don't know.
I think it was like, you can order it on Amazon.
EPO?
No, you can't get.
I think you need a prescription.
But there are certain.
Wait, did you try?
No.
Do you have it on subscribe and save?
I'm so not in that razor's edge pool that
I know.
It's not even funny.
I do know, like, certain countries have very different medical and pharmacological.
If you go to Mexico in the airport, you could just buy steroids. It's right there.
Yeah.
I was tempted. I was like, can I just buy this?
There were.
I don't know what happens when you go to customs.
Basically, feel free to title this episode like that.
How to do drugs.
Mexico.
And I mean, most of my understanding of this comes from like growing up and just I fell in love with cycling and just getting into that information. But like there were guys, they're like, oh, we lived in France, but we drove across the border to Switzerland, and you just go in a pharmacy and say like, oh, my sister's anemic, I need to get her EPO, and like the pharmacist gives it to you. It's not a prescription.
So I wonder though, like hypothetically, if you went to Mexico and you buy, it's legal, you just buy it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you come across back into customs,
I guess it depends. What do you look like? Are you getting stopped at the border? Are you
like if they find
is
that
it
you bought
illegal
it
to have it, or is it illegal to use it?
It's illegal. Is it illegal to have it?
In the United States, it's not illegal to have any of those things.
It's not. I thought it was considered a class 5 substance.
Okay, maybe, but like the United States. Okay. The misuse of it for performance enhancing, there's no laws on the books in the United States against that. France, there is. Spain, there isn't. So, like, you see a lot of pro athletes live in Spain.
So that's what that means.
Yeah. What means?
If you're a pro and you live and train in Spain, like if you're not from there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to,
we
point fingers at anybody.
We should make like reckless accusations in this whole episode.
Sam Long.
Is he living in Spain? They just bought a house.
In Spain?
I don't know where.
It does look like a little Spanish villa.
Yeah, it does look
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
So there's very different rules and laws in different countries about access and then what happens if you have it.
So whatever EPO you can get as pharmaceutical. TMZ is actually for heart conditions and angina. Is that how you say it? Angina.
Yeah. That girl, the figure skater that got caught. That's what she said. She said she mistakenly took her grandfather's heart medicine.
Well, that's a smart.
How does that even happen?
Yeah.
The tennis player Maria Sharapova. I didn't realize she got busted for that. Like,
really?
So I don't know if that's why she disappeared off.
But she got like a 2-year ban.
Is that why?
Oh, that's it.
But it's basically it reduces your blood pressure but increases blood flow to your heart, which is like perfect for endurance or figure skating. I heard figure skating is like you're at like VO2 max the entire time.
Yeah, I can see that.
Really?
You are just
when
like
you think
sprinting.
about how like hard it is to lift your body. I mean, they don't look.
Have
like
you
me,
tried
but,
to
like,
jump and do like 3 spins in the air, and while doing it on a
Well, 'cause
knife?
it
It looks like they're just
They don't
gliding
look like-
around.
I mean,
but one of our
when I'm doing
because they're all
VO2
on
max, I look
drugs.
like I'm close to death.
but one of the PTs here, he treated a lot of figure skaters, and he said
Really?
the engines on them were insane. But it's like he just said, imagine sprinting for like 3 minutes straight, nonstop. Like that's what they had to basically.
Well, that
They're
is-
so
you could do that.
graceful, though. It doesn't look like they're.
That's how in shape they
Freaking
are. It's like they
hard.
make it look
It's
like they're not
crazy.
dying.
Effortless.
Well, the
Drugs.
camera's not showing their heart rate.
That would
Yeah.
be great, wouldn't it? If they had that little
I
ticker
know.
Little
on the
metric.
see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they should. They should connect a little Garmin
She's
to
about
them.
to do a triple axle double blah blah. Oh my God, her heart
240
rate's
beats per minute.
200.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things on here that you've got that I think people have used all of them for all different things, but I don't think you have too many people using like stimulants, like that was a thing back in the
Like
day.
meth?
Like, well, is meth a stimulant?
Meth.
Amphetamines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Methamphetamines.
Yeah. There's a guy who, this is going to be a Tour de France talk.
Well,
Tommy Simpson, a British guy in like the 1960s, was riding up Mont Ventoux, which is just an extinct volcano in the middle of France. And he died on the side of the road because he was hopped up
Whoa.
on meth. Like,
Oh, wow.
He fell off his bike and he's like, "Now put me back on." And he goes another 100 yards and falls over
Just
and
dies.
dies. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But that was, there were stories about them using like strychnine in their bottle. Like,
What's strychnine?
I forget what it's commonly,
Cocaine?
no, it's like rat poison or something crazy like that.
Oh my God.
Like crazy shit, man. They were trying to find whatever might make them not feel pain.
How desperate do you have to be
Well, I think
to win?
Yeah,
Like
very,
to do something
right?
like
But if
that.
this
is
That's
what your
you
life
have-
is
now
about-
you have mental, like there's
I think a big
problem.
part of it is I don't even know what I'm sure there's a name for it, but it's like, if I'm so worried that you're doing it and that's what's going to make the difference, then I'm going to do it. Like if I'm like, well, we're close, but if you're cheating, then I better cheat to keep up with you.
Mm.
And I think that like,
Well, also you said about like
That's it.
kids and things like that, right? Like if you saw the Beckham Netflix special, whatever,
Yeah.
like as a kid, his dad, he was there to do it for his dad. Like this is, and that's the thing. Like they're doing it for their family or whatever, and then
still,
they
like,
get
what
into
he's
the program.
talking about, like these things will kill you.
yeah.
It doesn't
You're
matter.
willing,
And I mean,
how do
when
you get
EPO first
out?
came out, a bunch of Dutch guys died in their sleep because, like, when you think about, they didn't know how much they
Right,
could
how
use,
much to use.
right? So their blood got so thick with red blood cells when their heart rate is 30 at night.
Get
it
down
just-
to like 1 beat per minute.
It's like you're pushing against sludge every
Ugh.
other second, and they died.
They should have just had oxygen masks.
and they died.
That's so. I mean,
So
And
it's kinda
they died.
But I think that people do it because they're either on the cusp of like think about like minor league baseball players. Like they're
Mhm.
it's like the biggest payoff for them to
right.
go
Right,
from
to
that
go.
and then to break into the majors.
Mm-hmm.
And then same or any professional sport. And then same with like cyclists or
well, it just
endurance
makes me
athletes on
feel
the
better every
fringe.
time somebody passes me. I'm like,
Yeah, just
he's on something.
well, that's the number one rule. If anyone is stronger or faster than
Yeah.
you, they're on
As long as they're passing me,
they're on steroids or something. And then if someone's just always just missing out on the podium, like it's
That probably
worth
eats at you a lot, right?
yeah.
And if you're a professional or semi-pro athlete, you're obsessed with it's
With
like it's not
winning,
just a
yeah.
hobby.
Mhm.
It's like
Yeah.
this is you, like it's your
Mhm.
living. And so it's like if you're
Yeah, like, if
always
you-
just missing out, you could just get that one win, and then now all these sponsors and money starts knocking at your door.
Spain, you say?
yeah.
It's definitely worth the risk for them.
Field
right?
trip.
Yeah. I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I can.
Not death though.
They
Well,
I don't think
yeah.
people
We've
think
come a
about
long
that.
way since death.
Yeah. Right. Now, like
We're
they can
okay
do-
now.
Yeah.
And you think about
Yeah.
everything that they do already is extreme,
Yeah.
right? Like
Right.
just compared to the average person, like their diet is extreme,
Yep.
the amount of training is extreme, the load they're taking, like everything is extreme. So
Yeah.
like taking
Like
a
if,
PD that
we-
might kill you.
They're
And
gonna
if
go.
you, if you follow, I follow a lot of the professionals, like we all do, and you look into their life, like your life is not your job.
Right.
Their life is just, it's all about
Mm-hmm.
that. So it is extreme, I guess. I see
And
that.
like, if
Yeah,
you
I mean-
listen to the Norwegian method, right? And I'm not saying anything about them or anything, but like if you listen to those podcasts, what they're dialed into is insane.
It's so crazy.
It's
yeah.
insane. Like we know how many calories he's consumed in
single
like
thing,
a lap
yeah.
of swimming and whatever. It's like holy crap.
It's a lot.
So
yeah.
they know what it's going to take just for that little bit to improve.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the last couple Lionel Sanders videos on YouTube have been really like introspective for him, and he talks about like that. He talks about how hard it is to live that kind of lifestyle. for any length of time.
You like
their
sit through
whole
through his
family.
hour-long like
So
thing.
it takes
It takes a while.
It takes a while
Yeah.
sometimes, a couple of days.
And
I'll
just think
watch a little
about,
bit.
and think about the stuff that we like spend money on and do for every marginal gain, like
Yeah.
between
Right, you're talking EPO is like
shaving your
10%.
body,
Boom, 10%.
waxing your chain,
Like,
carbon
do you
shoes,
buy
like all these things.
When he says it that way, it
Well, I
sounds
know,
so
it
dirty.
sounds so
It's-
dirty.
it's-
when you
He's
when
like
you think
waxing
about
your,
buying
James, I told you not to tell anybody.
Yeah.
a $10,000 bike or spending that money on EPO.
Like that's the thing. It's like it's everything is about marginal gains, and
Yeah.
then gain that
They
competitive
just go
edge.
that one
People-
extra step.
You know, they had to ban putting water bottles down your kit because
Yeah.
like
I
that was
know.
too much of an advantage. So it's like
When-
everyone's looking for an advantage.
And they didn't even write that correctly.
There are stories about the back in the day, people talking themselves into taking these drugs. They almost felt like it was their professional duty to do it because otherwise they weren't preparing to the best of their ability. They were
Oh.
leaving stuff on the table by not doing these things.
Well, that probably points to how
How-
widely used
Yes,
it is.
100%. And that's it. It's the pervasiveness of this
Mhm.
idea that like, no, like this is just part of the
Part of
job. This
it.
is being
Yeah.
a professional, quote unquote. You
Well, every-
have to take this step.
Every book around, again, the Lance Armstrong thing, every
Mhm.
book that any other cyclist that rode for the team wrote was just that. It was like,
Oh, 100%.
we weren't planning on it, but
And-
if you wanted to do the thing, you had to
And the thing
do
you
this.
did, you have to worry about that guy that's not doing it is going to rat
No,
you
it
out.
was just
yeah.
like, this is what you
I
did.
mean, cycling talks about it. It's called the omerta, which is like,
Well, it's like an Italian thing, right?
yeah, it's like
The mafia.
the mafia being quiet, not tattling.
Mhm.
But like, there's stories
That doesn't
about
mean family.
maybe you're like, oh, I don't know, but
No.
it was
That's Lilo and Stitch.
What?
Ohana means family. So there's these guys who would come on to these teams, and it wasn't just like, yes, Lance's team is the one that got popped and is like well known for it, but this was happening on literally every single cycling team, right? David Miller, who's this great British cyclist back in the Lance era, told the story in his autobiography after he got popped. It was like he was almost like proud of the day when the soigneurs came to him with the little white baggie of drugs
Mm-hmm.
to be
Mm.
like, now we think you're good enough
to take
take
it.
these and go to the next level. Like, you have to prove yourself. Like, we're not gonna give you this stuff. Everybody's not getting it. You have to be worthy of it. And he's like, once I've got that, it was like, ooh, I'm big time now. And so there's no question like, oh yeah, we're definitely taking this.
So I think that brings up a really good point, is that just taking these drugs alone is not going to turn you into an elite athlete.
6%.
Like, you have to work really, 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 really hard.
Yeah.
Like,
that little bit has to put you over the edge.
so it's like, it's just you've reached your physical like limit. And so that this is going to get you beyond
Yeah.
that. But it's not just like, if you're an age grouper and just like
No.
casually competing, you're not all of a sudden going to be
Right.
a pro if you're not putting in like 30 hours a week of training. Like,
Yeah.
it's not,
Mhm.
I mean, I think that like, if you guys have all seen Icarus, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Right. So the guy like does the Haute Route, which is this multi-day amateur stage race over in France, and
Yeah.
he does every drug in the book,
Mhm.
but he also trained his ass off. And like, so the differences, he was able to see those differences. He was able to manifest those differences, where he wouldn't have been able to do that training. So it's like, and it's not a double-edged sword, but it's like almost like a self-fulfilling thing. Like, you have to do the drugs so you can do the training, and you have to do the training so that you can use the drugs properly. And
Mhm.
like, it just feeds off each other.
Yeah. That's why, like, when you see these massive guys in the gym, these bodybuilders, it's not like they just inject steroids and they just get muscles. Like,
Right.
they're in the gym
Yeah,
all
they're
day,
not
every
seeing the
day.
results after spending 8 hours in the gym. They're like, they've hit the limit. They're like, okay, we need what's
I mean, they
next.
had results, but it's just like they
They
want
want
more.
more.
Like, they want more.
Mhm.
And so, like, someone who just doesn't put in any gym time in, I think if you do take testosterone, you will increase muscle mass and decrease fat,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not going to look like a bodybuilder. Like, you have to work for that.
Yeah.
And the same with like endurance athletes. Like,
Mhm.
just taking EPO, like, you might have more capacity, but you still have to do the training.
No,
Like,
you get that same 10% boost But if your FTP is 150 and you're going from 150 to 165 versus you're at 350 and, you're going to...
Actually be pretty funny. Like,
what?
No, just like to do that, like you had like 100 FTP, like 200 pounds, 100 FTP. I'm like, I'm going to start taking EPO.
It's going to be the difference maker.
All right. I'm at 110 now.
110. This feels good.
Yeah. I didn't have to walk my bike up that last hill. Yeah. So they're doing the work, but the drugs are also allowing them to do that work and do more of that work. So,
I mean, like I'm always more thinking about the recovery, the other end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, like you're putting in an extra year's worth of workouts just because it's helping you to recover better.
Yeah.
So that brings up
that's huge.
That brings up the next
of course it does.
Steroid. I can't think PED or steroid, but that's I think it's stanzinol. I may have written it wrong. Stanzinol, but also known as Winstrol. So
is that a fat loss one?
It is.
Yeah.
So it's not like a huge like you'll build muscle, but it's not meant for people who want to mass up and get huge. But the
Can
biggest
you spell that for me? Just so I
Winstrol.
Hold on.
Winstrol.
Darkweb.com.
In the notes.
Yeah.
But basically it says it plays an important role in muscle recovery and repair by improving the muscle's ability to absorb glucose and boosting growth hormone levels. So it actually improves the body's response to anabolic steroids by increasing the number of androgen receptors on muscle cells. So this is like one of the ones, if you are like an endurance athlete, like it'll help you repair all that muscle damage you do. And you do get leaner from it. So, there's, I forget what the other one was called. Ostrazy?
You're just going to make up shit.
There's something, but there's one for like bulking. Like you just want to put on mass, you take this one steroid. But if you want to like lean out or like have more energy or endurance, like Winstrol is the one you take.
I think Winstrol is a hot one in triathlon.
So there's, if you're looking for recovery, this is what you would use.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things, and I think
stanzinol, is that what the word?
Stanzinol, Winstrol, I think is like the brand name of it. But we should probably talk about some of the risks and side effects. And
Clearly, they don't care about the risks.
I think people think that they're smart enough to negate the risks.
Do you guys remember, like in high school or whatever in school, they would give you all those side effects of if you took steroids, you're gonna be like raging and your hair is gonna fall out. And you're just gonna like
acne.
Go nuts.
All of the side effects were geared towards men, though.
Right, because men were the most likely ones dumb enough to take them.
Yeah.
I mean, your body's an amazing thing at maintaining homeostasis, right? Like a balanced set point for just about everything. So as soon as you start putting in these exogenous hormones, and that's what most of these things are, some kind of hormone, you start putting them into your body realizes that very quickly and then alters its natural production of either the hormone or its
the gonads.
What?
Yeah. You just wanted to get that word in there? It's like gonads.
He's driving. Like, I'm going to get this word into the podcast somehow.
But I'm just going to say it.
Or sometimes it's antagonist, right? Like a lot of the time, these two, a couple of hormones, like, not fight with each other, but are like the yin and the yang of one another.
Like if you have too much testosterone, then your body's going to convert it to estrogen.
And
that's why then
or cholesterol.
So one of the side effects of high steroids use is men get boobs. Yeah, gynecomastia.
Mm-hmm.
So then they have these cycles where there's like protocols where you take something like estrogen or something to boost your estrogen to then increase your testosterone level. So I think they take like, who was his name? Manny Ramirez, I think it was his name, from Boston Red Sox years ago. He got busted for taking a fertility drug.
Oh, what?
Clomid?
Chlamydia. Oh, no.
No.
It's a different thing altogether.
Totally different, Marilyn.
Timestamp that so we can turn that.
We're gonna have a clip that goes
chlamydia,
gonads, chlamydia.
I think we just got our name for the title.
We need more hits, but I don't know. gonads and chlamydia.
It is chlamydia.
But basically,
Clomid.
I'll listen
You're
to
thinking
this.
Chlamydia,
Yeah,
but
I know.
don't sit on dirty toilet seats.
but when you're taking steroids all the time,
Yeah.
like you're saying, the homeostasis, the body stops producing testosterone. So then if you take like Clomid or some sort of estrogen, it sees that your estrogen is spiked, then it restarts the body to make testosterone.
I mean, I've known people who have had thyroid problems, and like it takes years of closely controlled blood tests and stuff to get your levels back to normal, just because now you don't have the thyroid regulating that T3 and T4 hormones anymore. So like it's a challenge, and you can't put one of these into your body and not have effects.
And so EPO, we talked about blood can thicken, and so you just die.
Again, elite.
Yeah, I don't know if EPO has the same kind of, like, it'll shut down natural production of EPO. I don't know if that happens or not. But there's stories.
Well, if you think
like,
about homeostasis, then your body's
you would think so, right?
EPO, your body stops.
Yeah, and there's these stories of guys who like would be riding like shit, and then they'd spike, they'd take their EPO, and then afterwards, the downside, they would be horrible. Like 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, they're just like, they're winning every big race, and then they're done, and they're out the back as soon as the road goes up. So like there's a rebound effect with that, because probably of the same thing. Like your body shuts it down.
And steroids, there's so many side effects, like similar. Like I remember hearing, like depression is a big thing when you get off of it. I don't know if you remember. I'm trying to like going back to my memory banks. There was this wrestler, I think it was called the Chris something on WWF, but he was like a Canadian wrestler. Yeah. He has to have this move where he'd jump off the top ropes and like basically do a headbutt to the guy on the ground. Oh. But he killed his family and then killed himself. But he was known to be a big steroid
just
user.
Took a turn for the worse.
Yeah. But it just
we get giggling about chlamydia again?
But it's definitely like mental effects.
Can we talk about that side
of coming off of steroids?
Part of what they would teach you in school was like roid rage.
Roid rage. Bigger, Stronger, Faster. I don't know if you've ever seen that Netflix documentary. They talk about that, and a lot of people just say it basically like amplifies whatever you're like. So if you have like a short temper, like being on steroids will just amplify that.
Make it worse.
Yeah. Like, so you're just going to be, that's where roid rage comes from.
Okay.
And then I think the biggest thing is hypertrophy of your organs. So like the heart, like that's why a lot of bodybuilders die of heart attacks. It's just number one, their cholesterol increases and their heart muscle just gets huge, and you just die of a heart attack.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of nuts. Like, and knowing of those issues, people are still doing it
because the benefits outweigh.
No.
I think
the swimming, right? They won Olympic medals. They're good.
Benefits outweigh the imagined. I think people also have like I don't know what the word, like they're able to focus on now and not think
tunnel
about
vision,
right,
sort of,
like tunnel vision on the now. And they also, like, people think they're, especially 20-year-old kids,
invincible.
Think they're invincible, right? Like, I mean, I remember when I was 20, I could do anything.
And going back to bodybuilders, like they're known to take a good thing and go to the extreme to the point where it's then bad for you. But like if you have a smart doctor on the team and you're constantly getting blood tested, all your levels checked, everything dialed in, like you can probably remove a lot of the risk. Like if it's regulated and monitored, but just the average person
that's what Michael Jackson was told too.
Oh gosh. I mean, so there's this guy who's popped up on my Instagram feed. It's this, I don't know how old he is, but youngish kid he's like day 104 of trying to get my FTP to 5 watts per kilo. And that's like, he's Instagramming his story about trying to get there. And in the thing he talks about, he got some blood tests done. His testosterone was extremely low and he's going on TRT. And he's like, I'm not doing it as a performance enhancing thing. I'm just trying to get my level back up to normal. It's under a doctor's care and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, well, it's still officially against the rules.
Still,
like, you're gonna go,
that's what the doctors are doing to the professionals too. It's still under doctor's care.
Yeah.
It's one of those things too. If you say to a doctor, like, it's very somewhat subjective if they don't have your like true baseline. So if they ask you like the questions like, oh, do you feel depressed? Do you have low sex drive? Do you feel more fatigued? Like, right, you have low testosterone. Because there's no like set number for everyone that this is low, this is high. It's like relative
Right.
I guess within a range.
Right. Unless it's your doctor for 20 years
Right,
who's
that
been
you've been
testing it
Yeah.
and it saw a drop in it, you might just naturally have low testosterone. That was one of the, back to cycling again with EPO. It's like there's, again, guy's tied to Lance, but now he owns the Garmin. Is it the Garmin team still? No, it's the EF Education First team, pro cycling team. He rode with Lance. He grew up in Durango, Colorado, like at altitude, and was an absolutely phenomenal climber. He had a naturally high hematocrit. So the limit in cycling at the time was 50. Like if your hematocrit was over 50, you weren't allowed to race. This guy had to get a special exemption because his natural hematocrit was over 50.
Oh, wow.
He gets over to Europe to race, and they're like, fuck, it's too high. EPO is not going to do anything for you. Where if you came in with a low hematocrit, if you were naturally running at 39 and you could bring it up to 50, you turned a donkey into a thoroughbred. Yet this guy's at 50, even at the end of a tour, he's at 47. They can only bring him up to 50.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. They're like, oh, you're tough. Sorry, man. So same kind of thing. Like different people are going to react differently. Different people have different baselines. Like everybody's body is totally different. And you can't just, everybody can't take 2 milligrams of testosterone a day.
Why don't we have 2 separate divisions? Why?
Because then it would be admitting, like why?
I don't want to see that.
Try and
heroes.
make clean sport.
Yeah.
Try and make sport as clean as possible. Don't
But
provide.
Clean is so vague. Clean is a needle.
Okay. So let's go with your hypothetical, right? We have a clean and a dirty division. Great. Everybody wants to watch the dirty division. I'm assuming. You think there's going to be more? Do you think like bike companies are going to throw lots of money at those?
No.
I think people will watch both.
Okay. So then if you're the clean athlete or if you're in the clean division, what's to stop you from still trying to cheat to win your clean division if there's not a huge difference?
Well, we stopped making it so hard to test for performance enhancing drugs. We stopped making a thing. Like we make it so that you test at the race, you test every day, you test.
Oh, then it's money. There's just not enough money to do that.
No?
None of these sports have that kind of money. None of these sports have that kind of budget. It's 100% a money thing.
It's a good argument.
Yeah, and who's to say that some of these athletes are going to come out and say, all right, yeah, I'm going to go to the dirty division because I've been doping this whole time.
100%,
Like, they're never going to do
Though
that.
I think it would have been fun
People
during...
look at you and be like, yeah, you're in the dirty division.
During the 90s baseball era, I think it would have been fun when like Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, and Barry Bonds, like if there was a all steroids division back then. Because after the baseball strike, people were kind of tuned out of baseball. And then these guys come around taking steroids, hitting 70 home runs or whatever it was in the season. It rejuvenated baseball. And just imagine, I don't know, just imagine like a league where it's just like insane numbers. Just
everybody wants to see somebody do a full Ironman in less than 5 hours.
It's
going to be insane. No, I know, but you know what I mean.
Part of it could be seeing people drop dead. Like you're just like, like he did too much. Like he did too much.
I think if you want to see that, you have your sport, and that's professional bodybuilding.
Yeah.
If you want to see the limits of a medically induced sport, like there you go. Watch bodybuilding.
I'm with you.
I don't think you're going to...
not enough money to keep it. But we don't have enough money to keep it clean now.
Some of the hand ice.
Didn't you just say that we don't have enough money to keep it clean now?
Yeah. Yeah, so you're saying test them more.
So in a black and white world, everyone is doing drugs now. Because we don't have enough money not to.
I don't know. Maybe. I like to think that there's not enough money in triathlon for people to be doing the drugs but now that you got...
my God.
Yeah, I guess the drugs follow the money.
Yeah.
Where there's money to be made, cheating will happen, basically.
Right? Like how much did Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa make?
Is it money or status too?
Both.
Well, with status comes money.
Yeah. But like there has to be the incentive to cheat, right?
I think there's always incentive to cheat.
Because there's money. Like there's a payoff.
No, but I think you have age groupers among us who are cheating.
Oh, they're definitely
every guy that passes me.
Now there's one. Like, what is the point as an age grouper? What are you getting out of it?
Big fish, small pond.
I just don't get it. Like, what do you get from that?
Some people's mental, and I'm just going to go there. Some people's ego just can't handle it. So as they're aging and they're like, I want to do this thing, and all of a sudden it's like, well, you're not running a 7-minute mile anymore. Okay, well, no, I can't handle that. So they start doing stuff.
Yeah, I also think people's like moral line of what's okay and what's not is different among like I think people who cheat at sport probably cheat on their partner and probably cheat in the business world and probably, you know, do shady things like that. I think it's just a personality type that when you get that person into a sport, they're going to do the same thing that they do in all the other aspects of their life.
And they think everyone around them is doing it.
That's how they probably justify it too.
That's probably how they justify it. Yeah.
Like everyone else is doing it, so I might as well do it.
Right.
They're just projecting.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
I was a college star athlete. And now all of a sudden I've got these people beating me on a bicycle.
They're
no
on
way.
steroids. I'm going to take steroids too.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Going back to the low testosterone thing though, isn't it isn't it a known
The gonads?
Yeah. Isn't it a known phenomenon or fact that that endurance sports lower your testosterone?
Yeah.
Like it's a losing battle.
Endurance sports are catabolic,
Yeah.
which means like they eat you up as opposed to anabolic.
At what
so I need to see my doctor about.
at what length?
It's a
No, but at what
an
length?
upside down U-shaped curve.
No, I get it, but it's at what length? Like so a sprint triathlon.
No, I'm not talking about an individual event. I'm talking about the training involved with it. So it's a certain number of hours. So
Okay, so that's what I'm asking. Like, what is the number?
I don't know the number, and it's going to be different for every person, and it's going to be different based on their history. But you know, there is a point of like if you're doing 20 hours a week, you're probably in the danger zone.
Okay, so 20. Look, but it's not like 10 hours.
No, definitely not.
Not
Now I take that back. If it's 10 hours of you busting your head against the door, you know, the handlebars doing FTP intervals, then yes.
Normal, like
smart training.
I just kind of want to know, like, what is that? Like, even if it's a range, I just want to know. It's like
it's probably
50 hours.
Between 1 and 100?
No, it's not. It's definitely not like 5 hours.
You're not gonna if you're doing 10 hours of smart training, you're in the continuing to build healthy.
Right. Like there's got to be a number.
Just look at the people, like like if you're skinny and like you look like you have no muscle, like you're training a lot of endurance.
Yeah, but like you look at some of the, like I think Lionel Sanders looks strong.
Yeah.
But but how tall is he?
I don't think he's very tall. But that's not because of triathlon training. Like that's his genetic
predisposition.
You know, his genetic morph, you know, like his type.
Just look at marathon runners versus sprinter.
Some of them
but how much of that, like, okay, if you look at that high, like the pointy end, do they look like that because of the training that they're doing? Or are they just the evolutionary best at that? They're the ones who have made it because they have that body type? Kipchoge had that body type.
Mm-hmm.
Kipchoge has a tiny ass frame. You know, if Kipchoge was like eating McDonald's cheeseburgers, he'd still probably only weigh 150 pounds, you know, and be a little dude. But he's not like, I don't know which came first, you know?
Genetics.
Right. I think so. Because you look at, I think if you look at.
You can only do so much genetics.
Right. I think if you look at triathletes, you see a wide range. Like I'm talking about pro triathletes. You see a wide range of body types and they all can be successful. So I don't think it's like you have to have a body type of X, Y, and Z measurements. I think you're born with a certain, build, and you really can't change your skeletal structure. So that's just the way you are. What the hell were we talking about?
Who knows? But we're talking about the risks and side effects of a lot of these PEDs. So
they're bad. Drugs are bad. Okay.
But what if there were PEDs? What if there was a PED that you could take that didn't have side effects?
I don't think it has to do. I don't think side effects is the decision maker.
But what if there was no risk?
Again,
what if it couldn't get detected?
Again, I don't think the side effects is the decision maker. They're not banning PEDs because of side effects. It's the decision maker is, can you do something that is not natural that'll make you go to that tipping point?
I'm not saying for the pros, but for normal people like us, because I think in our rational mind, like it's not worth the risk. But what if there was no risk?
Is that why you don't do them? Because it's not worth the risk?
That's definitely one major reason.
Don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say the organ like hypertrophy, cholesterol,
like the long-term health
yeah.
ramifications.
Like I was like, it's not worth it for a hobby.
Yeah.
Like, yes, would I like more muscle mass and less fat?
Mm-hmm.
And if I didn't have to like kill myself, like just do the train I'm doing, of course, like I could take a pill to do that. Who wouldn't?
Well, I mean, that's like shit. How many people are taking Ozempic and Wegovy and stuff now?
Yeah, but there's side effects for that too. That
Of course
that's not.
But
like I'd say it's not worth it. The risk.
To me, it's always, or at least, and maybe this isn't for everybody, but just a personal thought is like, you got to do it forever. It's a point in time, A to B, and like either you choose to do it forever, no side effect, and it's like, okay, now it becomes part of your life, or like, you're doing it for a finite period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then are you doing it for that no side effect reason, or are you doing it for the performance reason?
But the reason I bring it up is there's this somewhat new stuff called SARMs. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard of them. I don't remember what it stands for.
It's like selective androgen receptor modulators, maybe something like that.
I don't know. He sounded pretty serious when he said that.
Not that I've looked into this before.
Yeah.
But basically, it's like imagine steroids without the side effects of steroids.
Because it tricks your body into making it, right? Is that what?
I don't know the exact mechanism. I didn't look that deep into it, but it doesn't cause hypertrophy of organs. It literally selectively activates like just the muscles, like your regular muscles, not your heart, not anything else. It doesn't increase cholesterol levels. The only thing is that it's just there's not a lot of like human test trials.
I was just gonna say, how long has this been around?
And it's actually not regulated
know?
at all, right?
Yeah, you could buy it on the internet.
Yeah.
It's for research purposes.
Right.
So as of now, they haven't found any side effects, but in 20 years, they're going to be like, oh.
Yeah.
But that's like, so it's
James's
not as
balls fell off the other day. There's the side effect.
It's not as effective as like building muscle as a steroid. But like one of the most popular ones is called like Androl, I think, or LGD something. But it was developed for like cancer patients or people with muscle wasting because they weren't able to work out, but they needed something to help them retain muscle. And so I think that's the closest one that has any human trials, but then it didn't have any of the side effects because of the mechanism that it works.
Are these FDA approved for anything at all?
I don't think so.
Okay.
That's the thing. So,
yeah.
But I think
I mean, like
as
testosterone replacement is FDA approved for the proper purposes.
So safer to use.
EPO is approved by the FDA for those purposes. Like, yes, people are using them incorrectly, and that's the PED side of things. But
the only reason
they've been run through clinical trials for drugs in the United States, at least, and they're safe enough in the proper usage.
So the main reason why these SARMs haven't been researched or invested into is there's no money behind it, because the only purpose for it would be to like increase muscle mass or perform. Like there's no like financial incentive for drug companies to pour the research into it. So that's where it's stalled out.
Yeah.
So I think of it as a little bit like genetic modification, in the sense that if you could choose the genetics of your kids, and like you can choose to turn on certain genetic traits and turn off certain genetic traits, and like, would you do that? And like, so you just kind of like genetically modify a human race.
He didn't even think about it. He's
question,
like, designer babies.
But like, if you could turn off the gene for cancer or any cardiovascular disease,
you want blue eyes, black, blonde hair,
high intelligence, maybe height, or like whatever,
you want 6 foot tall, blue eyes, blonde hair kid, and you're like, okay, I can choose to do that. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah,
I have my answer.
Why not? If we have the technology,
we do.
$6 million man over there.
We do have the technology though, and it can be done.
All right. So out of this list, which PEDs would you be most likely to take if you had to choose? If you had to choose.
We were forced
at least
to choose.
one. If you had to choose to at least take one, or else,
I mean,
you get chlamydia.
I guess.
Are we at hypothetical situations?
This is
scenarios
hypothetical.
now? Okay,
Yeah, because it has to be hypothetical.
Yeah,
Because like, there's no reason
I'm taking
for, like,
EPO.
Yeah, I'm taking.
Me too.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
It's an easy
Mm.
one. For what we do, for the events we've got this year, it's just an easy one.
Yeah. I feel like the safest, maybe.
Yeah, it is. There's
Mhm.
I think I would go Winstrol.
yeah, lose
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
Lose some weight, more muscle.
I didn't think of that one. I don't know. How long has that been around?
Oh, forever.
in a long time. Yeah,
It's safe.
ish.
Anything in
they all
moderation.
are ish.
Yeah.
Safe-ish.
Or I guess the question should have been more.
I
If you knew you
If
couldn't
I
get
had a
caught,
choice, but wait, if I had a choice, take them all.
take them all. That's the answer too.
Mhm.
I mean, like if
I
you're
wouldn't-
throwing,
I
if
don't
you're
know
putting a
I
gun to my
would.
head.
Like if I could and it was safe, let's say
But again, it's not like you could take one, right? And he's saying you have to take something.
I mean, okay,
Mm.
let's.
Like he's forcing you.
And we haven't
So,
talked
like,
about
okay, we're just gonna take 'em all.
HGH.
yeah,
Throw in
HGH might be up there. Let's play this hypothetical game. Like we're all getting up there in age. Like we're getting to a point where your body's not making most of these things
Yeah.
in near
Yeah.
the quantities as they were. Like EPO is different because that's not
That's why I
like
eat
a
seaweed.
growth. It's not a growth thing. But like, we're not making as much of those hormones anymore. Like, where do you draw the line as like if you go to your doctor and your doctor was like, "Oh yeah, you got low T," are you gonna do TRT?
And I've thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about it too. Like, and you see these Instagram influencers talking about, it, and there's a ton of them on it.
I've always just thought about what are the long-term effects. Like, do I have to worry about heart disease or like increased risk to cancer
Mm-hmm.
because I'm taking testosterone? Because I think increased risk to cancer is
Yeah,
one
but
of them.
I think it goes back to what you were saying, where like most of those things are due to gross overuse of it,
Mhm.
as opposed to just bringing you back to
Homeostasis.
the
So
acceptable range of normal.
So if my doctor told me I would not, there's like 0% risk of any of those things.
Well, no doctor will tell you that. So,
Or let's just say it was,
Minimal.
Mhm.
yeah, barely any risk, and it was covered by my insurance, then I would do it. Why not then?
You'd be cheating at sport, though.
Yeah, but I'm also not like competing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
Professionally.
well. Hold on, but bringing my body back into homeostasis for me, because isn't
It's
that
still
is
cheating.
it? But is it? But aren't I fighting at a disadvantage because I'm not at homeostasis?
Doesn't matter. You're cheating. The rules are the rules.
Well, yeah, I get it.
I just don't like it.
But
I
I
just
wanna-
don't
No,
like
it's
what
not
you're
that I
saying.
don't like it. I like it. I'm just saying that we're not at the razor's edge.
Okay. So what?
Well, I'd rather have my body at homeostasis and not
Just to
do
be
these
average.
events. Not even to be average, but to like whatever that test is or whatever you're not
Would you
getting, or your
stop
body's
doing?
not
Would you stop
producing.
doing competitive sport?
Maybe. I'd have to think about it. It depends on what it is that my body is like.
That's what I'm saying. Low testosterone. Your doctor says, hey, you know what? You'd probably have a better life. You'd probably have a better sex drive. You'd
Probably
probably
feel
recover better.
More
You'd probably
energy.
sleep better.
Mhm.
You'd probably feel like you're 20 years younger. Just bring your levels back
20
to
years younger?
bring your levels back
Done.
to where they were.
Right?
Okay, that's by the letter of the law. You're
Maybe I
cheating.
would grow a beard. Maybe I could grow a beard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I get caught for cheating at that point, that's fine.
Okay.
Hmm.
That's my answer.
Okay.
I feel like something like that is not the same because now you're feeling better in other aspects of your life.
Yeah. You just
But
happen
you're
to
bringing
do.
yourself back to home like the way you should be.
You
Okay,
just happen
but
to do
then-
But
triathlon.
it's still
No.
cheating.
Okay.
I get it.
Let's. I'm just playing
Right,
devil's
it
advocate.
is.
I'm
right?
good with it.
This
Okay.
is fun. Do it.
So, how is that different now from Tadej Pogacar, who rides 40
It's
hours
not.
a week, 40 hours a week, and because of his high training load, he lowers his testosterone level. Should he be allowed to now take testosterone supplementation to bring him back to normal?
Sure.
Okay.
No.
No, that's
No.
different.
Because he's a professional.
And
Everyone
it didn't
else-
happen naturally. It happened because he's
What do you mean naturally? He trains
he's
a lot.
training. That's what I'm saying. It didn't happen.
Yeah, but how do we know that Rich's low T isn't just due to some of his training? Like,
Well-
See, Rich trains not
Well, I
Not
think
like Tade?
not
I think
like him.
there's
I
two
feel
things.
A little,
yes.
insulted.
a little, maybe a lot.
I think there's two things. Like he's a pro,
yeah.
right?
Okay.
So he's
So
making-
amateurs can cheat, pros. can't.
amateurs can cheat, pros cannot.
Okay.
And
But then
two-
how do you become a pro? You have to work your way through the amateur ranks or no?
So if you are an amateur and you make it to pro, that's where you have
And
to
then
be.
you start to suck.
You just
That's
stop.
where you have to say,
I'm
I
done
cannot.
now.
It's a difficult.
You can't go
it's
into being a
difficult.
pro Like if they gave you your pro card,
and you'd be like,
You've
oh
been
shit,
juiced
give me
up.
6 months.
then you'd be like, sorry.
but
That's
you-
where you have to use
Okay,
your
but
morals.
the training that you did as an amateur, juiced up, was an unrealistic amount of
Yeah.
training that has an long-lasting effect even after you stop taking those drugs.
No, I'm just saying you shouldn't be able to become a pro. Like if
So you make a decision at a certain point in your life. You're like,
Yeah, I'm good
I'm
right
going to
now.
either cheat and stay an amateur,
Yep.
or I cannot touch
But
you
there's
know,
a difference.
banned substances.
Hold
Well,
on.
do
Yeah.
we test people like when you, let's say you're competing, you get your pro card. At that point, do they test
Well,
you?
they test
like,
at
right there?
amateur.
You could be
races.
tested,
Oh, they
yeah.
do.
You know, like national level events. If you're on the podium, you're going to get tested at the event. But again, like James said, it's an IQ test at that point.
Mhm.
But I also think
Um,
with the Pogacar example, everyone is getting that, like they're all putting that training load in, so they're all like could be facing that same level of testosterone degradation, because if that's
So should we all be taking? But maybe Tade's got a genetic disposition to lower T, like to hurt that 30 hours a week hurts him more than it hurts you.
so
Like,
that's where I think it becomes self-selective. Like
No,
then you
hurts
cannot
me
be
more.
you can't be a pro. Like genetically, it's not in the cards for you.
Mm.
no, it is. You're just saying you can't cheat to. You're saying like
Well, your whole point
Like,
is
once
that
you're
at
in
the
the
elite
pros-
level in the pros, you want to watch natural.
no. I'm saying that
That's what you said
no.
before.
Okay, what
You
I'm
want to
saying-
watch natural.
Yes, I want sport to be clean.
Yeah.
I didn't say pros. I want sport to be clean. What I'm saying is the line gets really blurry when you start to try and move away from very specific use cases.
I'm trying to think if I in my current situation now, I've never podiumed for a race or anything.
Mhm.
So, and if my doctor's like, "Oh, you have low testosterone," I take testosterone, and then all of a sudden I become a podium on a race. I'm wondering, would I accept that, even though it's not?
We would have to test
A
you
pro.
here at this panel.
Yeah.
I would
Here.
be like, I would wonder.
Why does it have to be my cup?
Because yours was empty. I still got a drink.
That is
Will
pee
you
already.
pee in Hickman? Pee in Hickman?
I would wonder, like, could I, like, morally accept a podium position? And I
If
feel like
you are
that
taking
would be a
less
tough.
testosterone.
But like, here's the thing: like, if you're going for podium, like this is
Yeah.
the race, podium, then you have to consider that.
I guess the motive is: am I doing it to
Right.
improve my health, or am I
Right.
doing it to boost my performance
but-
in my hobby?
But
Like,
this is still going back to what I said before. These people, like 20 years ago, 30 years ago in endurance sports, thought they were doing it just to maintain their health
yeah,
because they were beating themselves up so much in training. This was
Hmm.
just bringing them back to quote unquote normal. It was the argument that was used by Lance Armstrong and George Hincapie and all those guys and the generation before them. It was the exact same argument.
yeah. So
We're
let's
not doing it to get better. We're doing it to keep our health where it normally would be.
yeah let's back up and like look at it a different way and say, what if gels, caffeine, and like protein shakes were considered illegal moving forward?
Mm-hmm.
Caffeine
you-
is the most natural thing.
That's what I'm saying. But what if it was considered an illegal?
Well, I think there is a legal limit to caffeine.
All right, but you know what I mean.
I know. You're right. So you're saying like, what if they said
What if you couldn't take gels?
Morton gels were on the banned substance list?
But
I would stop using gels.
So like the enjoyment. So imagine now.
I get no enjoyment from a Morton gel. I promise.
I'm not sure about that.
But like, what if you couldn't take in nutrition now in a race?
No. You just
Oh, come on.
You just have to eat a peanut butter sandwich.
I'm saying like, it's not Morton gel, but just like you cannot take gels. Like you can't have those
So you have
carbs.
to eat real
It's
food.
performance
Maybe you have to
enhancing.
eat real food.
okay. Fine. I'll eat real food. If everybody else is eating real food, I have no problem with it.
Like you wouldn't try to sneak in a gel. Like,
no.
or
Why?
Yeah,
caffeine.
no, gels is different because again,
No, I'm just saying
you
like,
don't
this
have
is-
to. Your normal life isn't affected by not eating gels.
But
What
it,
does that have to do with
did-
this
Because his
don't-
previous argument was like your normal life is affected, so testosterone, right? So you take testosterone replacement, so then you should stop competing
Mhm.
because it's illegal.
Right.
Case by case. Right. And maybe that's something you do have to consider. But a Morton gel isn't like
I'm not saying
Bring
it
you
has to
back
be
to
more.
it.
I'm saying it's,
Hypothetical.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
being
just-
able to get carbs in efficiently
Yeah.
while you're doing activity.
It's why you're not allowed to use an IV. Right?
Yeah.
you can't run with an IV.
You're not allowed to use an IV, I think, before a race.
Mhm.
Oh, I think I meant
Yeah.
during. I was like, who's doing that?
Don't
during a
people,
race?
like,
But yeah.
do whatever.
Yeah,
They're breaking the
vitamins.
rules.
Right?
That's right. I remember.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, I know.
So yes, people are doing it.
Yeah.
People are taking EPO. People are taking growth hormone. People are taking IVs. They're all, by the letter of the law, they're all cheating.
I think this argument's just the simplest, slippery slope kind of thing. Like you're slippery, you're just going down. Yes, eventually you're just going to get down to that zero level where, everything has to be not right, not allowed, illegal, whatever. Like you shouldn't be doing it, whatever. It's just you're going down to the zero level.
I mean, if you read the WADA code and like the list of banned substances and banned things, it kind of is like that.
But it really just comes down to it's man-made laws, like rules, right? Like caffeine is not illegal, or whatever. The limit of caffeine is not illegal because we just decided that's fine. But let's just say, I think
caffeine's a good one. Let's go with the caffeine. We all take caffeine in our normal day-to-day life. What if WADA comes out and says no caffeine?
Imagine you just had to stop drinking coffee,
in or out of competition, right? That would be a hard one for me.
I'm still taking it.
That's so.
Yeah.
This is a good example then. Just
right?
the caffeine.
Because I think that's one that because that's probably the strongest performance enhancing drug. Legal performance it might maybe more than illegal.
How many people would accidentally poop their pants in a race because they weren't able to have coffee before
and get that first BM out of the way? I don't know.
Like it's.
I even if I'll get a headache if I don't have coffee.
Yeah, I will too.
Yeah,
because you're an addict.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
but I'm okay with it.
Actually, you're not an addict. You're dependent. You're dependent on it.
Same thing.
No, there's actually a slight difference.
Yeah,
I listened to a podcast about that the other day. But I was like, oh, that's a good point. Because I think an addict, you're doing something intentionally that's bad for your health.
Oh,
whereas caffeine can be argued that it's not really bad for your health. So you're dependent on it.
I'm definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But that would be really tough. Like it's
if
part
WADA
of your
comes out tomorrow and says I'm testing Rich before every race. Bye, guys.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So what would you do? Would you continue to take caffeine
and still race?
And still race? Yeah. Okay.
So that's what the same people are thinking with testosterone.
Same
I am not affecting anyone else in my race. Sorry, I'm just not.
But Rich, I understand exactly where you're coming from. But where do you then draw the line?
You can't. It's a slippery slope.
It's not
okay,
just
so then
about
there's
you.
not a line.
There's no line.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't use that argument then if there is no line.
Because
you
not
are
just about
affecting
you.
other people's races.
And maybe what it is like
whether you're not on the podium or not, you're still affecting other people's races in a small or a big a way as it is. You're still having an effect because you can't draw a line and say like, oh, if I don't, as long as I don't get third, I'm not affecting anybody's race. Like you can't
it's not
draw
third. It's not third.
It can't be good for one person and not for another.
it's a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
But maybe what it is that like caffeine or gels, they're readily available to anybody.
Okay.
Right? Versus some of these PEDs, not everyone
you can
can
them
get
online, can't you? Didn't we say like anybody can get?
But
these?
James did.
They're
He didn't share his
expensive.
supplier's
And
name.
that guy from the movie, like he figured out a way to get
I'm
it.
just saying it's not as easy. It can be expensive. So it's like certain people would have an advantage over others. But if it was like if you could just get it and it didn't cost a lot, it was like a cup of coffee, then maybe that wouldn't be illegal.
Like if you went to Starbucks and they were like, do you want some testosterone in your
You can
coffee?
make the same argument though. Some people could buy shoes that are $300 and some people can't.
And some people bikes, right?
Right,
true.
bikes,
Bikes,
everything
aerodynamic.
in triathlon, please, all the expensive things.
But I'm just saying maybe,
spend on.
but maybe that's
battery in your hub.
But maybe that's why we draw a line somewhere. It's just that like
who decides where
everyone
that line
should
is
be
drawn?
be able to have the same advantage. Like everyone could get access to
I don't
caffeine.
think that's why they're banning these things. So.
Yeah, I don't know the logic.
Well,
behind
it's
what's
the
banned
ethics.
and
It's the morals and ethics
Did
of
you
sport.
guys know that donating plasma is against WADA regulations?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why
because
it
that.
increase something?
Because it
Increases your-
increases your hematocrit percentage-wise.
Oh. Is it donating plasma? Just donating blood, or
I don't know if donating whole blood is or not.
but plasma is in your blood, right?
Plasma is the liquid part of your blood that has like platelets and all the proteins and stuff, clotting factors and stuff.
But like if you're donating plasma, do you say just take the liquid? Or
Yeah, so if you donate plasma, it's a totally different
it
thing.
is.
Different
Comes out one arm, goes through a machine, and they inject the red blood cells back in through the other arm.
you get your red blood cells back.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that. Oh, is that why it's good? Because you're higher concentration per volume of.
Yeah.
I was just thinking getting blood taken out is just good for you too. Just make new blood.
Nope.
That's bad for
You
you.
got to
Like
make the
new
new
fresh
blood.
blood.
You got to make it.
Yeah, but it takes time.
You just time it right.
I don't know. I don't know whether I do know plasma is illegal under the WADA code, but it's like I've never donated plasma, but I've never like thought about it like that.
But I wonder. I think like you can't. It's not like you can donate it and then run the race the next day. It takes you a while to bounce back from that. I think.
Yeah, but if you look at the code, it's like no, it's illegal. Period.
To
doing
donate.
it.
How did you know that?
I was reading a thread on Slow Twitch about something to do with it. It started with the Chinese swimmers and it devolved into.
How do you test for someone?
Yeah. How do they know that?
Donating plasma.
They ask you, "Have you donated plasma?"
Okay. So they could be doing it. Nobody would ever.
So how many? Ideally, how many days before?
I don't know. They didn't get into that, or I stopped reading the thread. Another one is like some things are illegal in competition, but not out of like weed. You can smoke as much weed as you want out of competition. You can't be high during.
Is there a performance benefit?
I don't know. I don't think so. I
Is
can't.
it more? Is that more of just a safety thing, or
Probably. Imagine
Probably.
imagine 2,000 stoned athletes on Ironman Chattanooga
On a
course.
bike.
Oh. Maybe it helps you sleep better. So maybe that's a performance, and maybe it dulls.
Is the night before considered in competition?
Well, if you test positive on the day of, then
then
yes,
it's going to be in your system.
It's going to be in your system.
So it's more than a night.
What about like Adderall or something? Is that illegal?
I haven't looked at those I mean, like, and that's the other part is like it's your responsibility as an athlete to do if you're on some kind of medicine or whatever, you are supposed to look it up and find out whether
And
it's
something
allowed
like
or
that
not.
might make your heart rate faster. I don't know why.
Adderall? I thought it
No.
was the opposite.
I think
think
it helps you focus at least.
Does
but-
it? Yeah.
I mean, there was something on this
I don't
list,
remember.
like beta blockers. Like there was
Oh, yeah.
there were stories about like golfers using beta blockers to dull their nerves, so they don't get anxious over a tough putt.
Remember Vijay Singh got busted for deer antler spray,
yeah.
but it was some sort of.
But he told them he was using it. Like he didn't test positive for it. He was just like, "Yeah, I use that." And they're like, "Oh no,
Was it like
busted."
Was it a steroid type thing?
No,
No, it was.
I forget. It was deer antler spray.
But it does
Oh my God.
something. There's some benefit to it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I'm always intrigued when I hear about these pro athletes like taking weird stuff. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
What does it do?
I mean, so it's not clear where the line is drawn or where you have to draw the line, but
Well, no,
idea-
I mean it is clear. Like that's the point of WADA's.
that's what I was saying. That
Thing,
as
it's-
long as
You're trying to make
unbelievably
it
clear.
You're trying
No,
to
no.
call
Is
it.
it
well, that's
clear
what I
to
was
you
saying.
as a-
No,
here-
that's what I was saying. That
here's-
WADA makes a rules, and that whatever is in that list or whatever is in whatever
Right.
is agreed upon is what's agreed upon as the level of competition
Right.
that you should be using.
What you personally decide
Right.
to do as an untested age group athlete is completely up to you ultimately. But I think because of that, we have a shitload of cheaters out there.
Oh, I agree.
And I think when you look at like,
But in life, that's kind of like that's true.
Hmm.
Not only in
Yeah.
sport.
for sure.
Because you can't in life you can't test and check everybody.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as that the possibility, as long as not everyone is getting checked or tested, then there's always the room for cheating.
And
And
I
if
would,
there's-
and I'd be willing to bet that in a sport like triathlon, where your typical athlete is upper middle class, has access to these kind of things, the level of cheating is even higher.
I think it's
Maybe.
the statistic is 1 out of 4.
you say that because there's 4 of us in here.
I mean,
Well, I think
and
after
they're-
listening to this conversation, I know who it is.
I know who it is too. And I mean,
Russian?
yeah.
We all saw
Some
it,
of these
Chris.
come from Russia, don't they?
Oh.
Then if they're
Yeah,
not doing
false
that, they're
wall.
drafting. There's always something.
That's true.
you
Yeah,
know?
the caravan behind you at
And North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah. And the 2 girls that got busted right in front of me.
Probably doped to the gills.
Yeah. Spanish girls.
Careful.
One of them. is
Disclaimer,
right. I can
disclaimer
say that.
Marilyn's Cuban.
I can
Right.
say that. Yeah.
That's like the doctor on Seinfeld who became Jewish, right? Converted to Judaism just
Yeah.
for the jokes.
Oh, yeah, I wrote this question. What PEDs are you currently taking?
I might be close on the caffeine limit. I don't know.
Caffeine. I don't know what else.
I'm not close on the limit though. But
Then follow-up question: if you are taking PEDs, why aren't you faster?
good question.
Good question. I'm gonna have to check my
as I
to my
pour the
pharmacist.
alcohol.
So several years ago, I took Accutane because I was getting adult acne, and so I finally took Accutane.
That wasn't like several. That was only a couple of years ago.
Was it a couple of years ago?
Because I was coaching you. I remember you telling me about it. Right? There was something with your sweating, or what was the problem?
I was getting like like tendon pain, like Achilles pain.
That was what it was.
All these weird. I got like every side effect. I got
From
rashes.
the Accutane?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But when I had seen the dermatologist, at the time I was breaking out. I was like, yeah, every time like I would notice if I was working out doing heavy lifts, I would break out. And she's like, "Are you on steroids?" And I was like, I was so insulted only because like, look at how I look. Like, I'm like skinny fat, and like if this is what I'm taking steroids and I look like this, like it's not working.
Yeah. Your dealer is cutting that with something.
like-
So insulted.
I was like, oh.
Or maybe she thought you looked good, and that's why she said it.
I mean, maybe I don't know, but I was just like, if this is what I look like on steroids, it's very sad. I don't remember the point
Time
of the
for a
story,
new
but-
dealer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So where can you get these things? Anyone know?
I don't know.
Anyone have a guy?
Do you know?
Don't know.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking the question.
I don't know. Online. I thought you can get these online.
That's what I thought.
The thing is, online though, you don't know what you're getting because it's
True.
unregulated.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, can't you get pharmaceuticals from like Canada shipped to you or something?
I don't know.
I don't know if you
the
could
laws
ship
are.
it.
I don't know.
But apparently you can go to Mexico. and get it.
Yeah. It's right there and right in
Team
the
Next
airport.
Level is going to 70.3 Cabo
Yeah.
this year.
It's cheap to go to Mexico.
Yeah.
And then finally, we're like, all right, let's make some blanket accusations. Which pro triathletes do you think are on steroids?
Oh, jeez. I don't know.
I will say this. There is not one name in pro triathlon that would surprise me to hear if they tested positive. I am past the point of
Even on the women's field too?
Yeah. I am past the point of holding these people in some kind of
So
higher...
Taylor Knibb is probably on the EPO.
You said that. James Coe.
I mean, she has insane some like. Did she just come out of nowhere?
No, Taylor
No.
Knibb has been racing triathlon since she's been like 13.
Oh, okay. All right, I
She's
apologize.
like
Both her
she's like a
parents-
world. She's like a
Both her
world
parents
junior
are
championship
Yeah.
All right.
gold medalist. Yeah. So no, she's not out of nowhere.
I agree with you. It's hard to hold these people in high regard. It would not surprise me anymore.
No, nothing would surprise
And
me.
I don't want to limit it to triathlon.
No,
I
that-
would just say most professionals.
But what about Lionel Sanders? Like you said, like the shape that he's in,
Mhm.
and he was roommates with Colin Chartier.
he
Shorter?
trained
Shorter?
shorter. Colin the shorter.
Weren't they in the same? I thought they lived together.
I think
For a little bit.
he might have lived at Lionel's house for a little while when
Because
they
that was
trained
some of the
together.
controversy.
for
was like,
sure.
how did
Yeah.
you not? Like,
How did you
you're
not
living
know?
with him? How did you not know he was?
Sure. Yeah, maybe they were sharing.
And
you're
there
saying?
was there some sort of common connection with a coach? I forget.
Did they have
Well,
the same
coach, they
coach?
said-
I
they
think?
They
said
were
something.
both working with Mikael Eden.
Yeah.
So now we can bring the Norwegians
Right,
into
the
it.
Norwegian's
so
brother.
they're
Yeah.
all on PEDs then.
Again, James Coe, 5 Lakeside Drive. No, I'm not going to point. Obviously, like I don't know fucking anything.
Do it.
Just
What
do
can
it.
happen?
Yeah, good
What's the worst
soundbite.
that could happen?
What's that called? Is it libel when you say it, or is it slander when you say it?
I think it's
Both.
only
No,
if
one's
it's
said,
false.
one's printed.
and
Yeah.
it's only like libel or slander if it's false.
Oh, okay.
If it turns out being true, then you were just
Yeah.
telling the truth.
No, all I'm saying is there is no one in, like Rich said, any sport
hmm
Okay.
that would surprise me.
curling maybe.
I don't know.
No, actually, that's funny. I think as I was doing research
I would
for
think
the
like
curling
smoke
came
the
up.
shit out of some weed, right? Like fat bong rips.
No, but I
right
think-
before you
They
throw
gotta
that
move
stone.
that thing really quickly.
I think for TM, I think
That broom.
I don't know that broom. Yeah.
no. Well, I'll have to do follow up on the next one. But I think TMZ, some curlers were found
Oh God.
using
don't say it.
TMZ because of the like. You want your heart to be calm, like it's
Oh, yeah?
so precise. Like
See? Yeah.
it's every sport that there's something to gain, win, fame, people are going to look for an edge.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we should make PV try non-drug testing.
We'll have an okay.
Non-drug
like
testing.
it's just whatever you want.
As you're going down the slide.
Yeah.
People shooting up right before they get on the slide.
It'll be in the swag bags.
Like testosterone patches in the swag bag.
Yeah. Just for next year, like you didn't win here.
It is an unsanctioned race. USAT has nothing to do with it.
It's the most unsanctioned race ever.
Talk about grassroots. We'll throw a little blunt in everybody's bag. Yeah.
Oh God.
I don't know. Maybe we can. Let's market it as that and see if we get more people.
Yeah.
We'll get sponsors.
Yeah. EPO. Whoever makes EPO. Amgen Pharmaceuticals presents the PV Try.
All right. Well, hopefully people learn some.
Oh, people learn something that we're fucking whack jobs.
They didn't know that already?
Yeah. Now it's
this
clear.
many episodes in?
Yeah. Now people are going to pass you, Rich, on the race, and they're like, fucking cheater.
Why would they be passing me like that?
Take some more
announcing it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if anyone sees Rich on the course, make sure you yell out like, "Take some more EPO, asshole."
You're doing it wrong.
Up your dose, man.
I hope you get chlamydia.
Oh, and on that mic drop moment, folks, we are done. Thank you so much for listening. Give us another. If this didn't, entice you to subscribe to the show, I don't know what will.
We got to put it out there first.
Yeah, we will. Thanks everybody for listening. That's another episode of the Quad Pod. I don't know how we're going to top this one. Hopefully, there's another, blockbuster story out there in the next week or so. All right. Take care, everybody. Talk to you later. Thanks, everyone, for listening to the Next Level Quad Pod. We really appreciate you spending time with us and listening to everything that we have to offer. If you like what you heard, please leave us a review and a rating. Those little things go a long way towards us being able to bring you more content like this. If you'd like to learn more about what we have to offer, please go to our website at goteamnltry.com. There, you can find out about all the different things we provide that can help you reach your athletic potential. Thank you again for finding time in your busy schedule to spend some time with the Quad Pod.